Hi, and welcome to Glitch 2600. Who am I? Well, I'm Brian, aka Glitch, your friendly host through all things geekery. And what's geekery? Well, geekery is all those fun electronics and toys that you want to learn about when it comes to computers or photography, videography. I'm your guy, and I'm here to answer those questions. And why are you here? Well, you're here for a Glitch Byte, part of Vlogmas 2020. And what's Vlogmas 2020? Well, since you're here, you can click that playlist button and go to day one where we go into depth about, or talk in depth about what Vlogmas 2020 is. But basically, it's a way for us content creators to create something new every day in December and bring you something cool. In my case, it was our Glitch Bytes, which are bite-sized bits of data, information, tech tips that can normally be consumed in under 10 minutes. Now, I say that and we've gone over every time because every time I'm explaining what's Vlogmas. So without further ado, let's talk about why you're here. And that should be to learn about securely backing up your files using a service called Backblaze. There's other ones out there, Carbonite, any number of online ones. I've been a big fan of Backblaze for a long time. Backblaze allows me to back up any number of external files or external hard drives. I can hook up 20 of them. It does not care. The way that they do their technology, they're very open about it. So they used to publish and show the hardware and show you how you could build your own storage pod if you wanted to, which really caught my attention. And they also talk about which drives fail more frequently and give you all that stats, which as a geek is a really neat thing for them to do because they have so many. But having said that, they don't back up NAS drives, which are network attached storage. So as long as you can plug it into your computer, it will back it up. Otherwise, if it's network attached, no, which kind of makes sense based on the style that is. Now you could clone that using one of our other tips to your another hard drive and use that to back up, but otherwise it doesn't do it natively. Also, if you have a lot of files, the first time you upload, it takes a while because it's going to upload over days. Now you can do a type of pre-seed where that means you pre-send the data to them and then they set up your backup and then you just match up to it. But the downside there is you have to have their B2 product, which is like Amazon storage. But that's getting a little too geeky. Most of the time it'll catch up. It'll just take maybe a week depending on your speed, and we'll talk about that. So let's just flip on over to our screen share here and show you the interface. So once you install it, works on Mac or PC, doesn't matter. You get your preferences here. And when it's installed, like I said, you can check for updates. You can inherit backup state. So if you had another computer and brought it over, you can do it there. But once here, you have your backup now options and your restore options. But really, we want to get in here on settings. So having said that, we will go here. And it'll say the name of your computer. In this case, it's my admin's Mac Pro, which this is a VM running it. It's my old Mac Pro. Temporary data drive. Well, that's where I'm putting stuff. I don't want it to fully do that. Warn me when it hasn't backed up for 7 days. I can say, warn me never. Don't tell me when it hasn't backed up. Show the icon. Allow network tests, so tell it to back up in the background. And then I can select the number or which hard drives. So normally if I hook up a few other ones, you'll see other ones in there. And I just hit refresh and I can uncheck them. Obviously I can't uncheck the main hard drive because they're assuming that you want to back up that drive, which makes sense. And then you can inherit the backup state. Where we want to focus is this performance area, where you'll see Backblaze will back up your computer at approximately 10 gigs a day and then what the last speed was. You can turn on this automatic throttle, but if you don't want it to take up too much of your speed that day, in the old days, their automatic was just a little aggressive. Now I don't find it to be quite so aggressive, but you can control it. By sliding this, you'll see it'll say, hey, 2 megabits per second. So if you have a 10 meg upload, this basically tells you, hey, it'll use about half of that. You can increase the number of backup threads, so if you have a bigger bandwidth, you could just take the threads way up. But if you're going to do that, I would suggest just going to automatic threading instead. And then whether you allow backup when you're on battery power. So if you're on a laptop or if you're using UPS, it'll go, hey, maybe when you're on your battery, you don't want to use up as much, of that power. So you can uncheck that. This was on my desktop, so it was always plugged in, so I left that. Additionally, if you're on a laptop, let's say you're a streamer and all that, you don't want it to back up when you're necessarily on Wi-Fi. So you could say, don't back up when I'm on these networks. So you can switch that and just say add. And if I hit add, it'll go looking and I can type in the different wireless ones that I'd like for it to block. Since this one doesn't have a Wi-Fi card, it doesn't see any. But if I was on a laptop, it would show those. Additionally, you can turn in and schedule it. You could tell it to run continuously. That's pretty much what I do. But you could also say run once a day or only when I click backup on that main page. So again, if you're a streamer, you can kind of change this ahead of time if you'd like and have it stop. And you can do a pause and you can do a few other things. But you know, if once you're up to date doing once per day or whenever the data changes drastically, you could do it that way too. I leave mine continuously based on what I'm doing, but I just turn it off if I'm streaming. Exclusions are really important because right now, I don't want it to back up this one's main Mac images folder. That's where I dropped some other files that were about 600 gigs. So I said, don't back that up right now because I didn't want that in there because I'm transferring it to a new computer and I want to be able to do that backup there. So once I switch it to my laptop, I'll start the backup there and I'll do one Mac image at a time so it can catch up and then I can mess with the other. Also, you can choose the type of files. Again, it's easy to add different drives in there. You just hit plus and then you can pick what other folders you want to choose to back up or not back up just as easily as I did for this one where I said, hey, go to this archive and skip this Mac images folder because I didn't want to back up this sparse bundle. You can also remove them just quickly as clicking and then clicking remove. But let's say for me, I did a lot with Lightroom. Well, I wanted to back up my files, but I didn't actually care about the preview files. They would take up a chunk of space, start backing up, and really it builds those quickly on the fly, anytime I make changes. I don't need it to back those up. So I said, don't back up the LR preview directory or file name. You can also say, especially for your first ones, like I only care about you getting the bulk of it. Don't back up anything bigger than 100 megs, 200, all the way up to 25 gigs. And then you can say no limit. What I also really like is that you can make your own encryption key. That means they already do something called sharding where when the data comes in, it gets split up to all the different hard drives, very quickly, all of their pods. It even goes between data centers so that if they lost one pod, it doesn't matter. It can rebuild that data quickly. You don't ever see it and have to worry about it. But with this, it allows you that extra piece of security to say, even if someone got in on their back end, because it doesn't have your encryption key, they can't open it. They can't see it. Right now, I turned mine off because I'm transferring to another and then I'll re-encrypt it. And that's just me being paranoid from the way I've always had to do data backups, with large corporations. I went ahead and changed that. But otherwise, they do AES military grade encryption. And that allows you just that extra peace of mind. I also love their reports because it tells me how much stuff is being backed up and how big. Obviously, I'm a photographer. There's a lot of photos, a lot of videos. That's where that falls under that photo video. And you'll see that's where it said, hey, I'm backing that up. You can see what's scheduled to back up. I don't have anything scheduled right now. But if I pop something new on there, it would start to back that up. So I took this copy out there. You'll see it'll try to find it. And then if there's anything with issues. Right now, there's no issues. So if I go ahead and click OK, what's great is, let's say I open up this archive, because that's where I have stuff set to back up, and take this copy to it. So we're just going to put this on there. It's a very, very small set of files. And now I'll go back up now. It'll catch it continuously. So it would catch it over a little bit. It checks every so often. But if we say back up right now, you'll see it'll go, hey, I'm producing a file list. And that'll take it just a second. And while it does, I'm going to take a drink of my wine. I hope you guys are having a great night and learning a lot here. But as it produces that file list, that will populate that reports area and say what's being backed up. So if I come in here, it's probably not done yet. And of course it isn't. It's such a small file, it might not even need to pop in here. So we'll see if it even produces it. Because it's comparing up and checking. And it already says, hey, it's done. Then I'm already backed up. See, it didn't even show me what's scheduled for backup because it was such a small file. It didn't have to do anything. Now, if I want to, we can minimize this or pop up my other screen and go to their site. And once you log into your site, you can go in here and see your files that you want to restore. Basically, if I would have clicked the restore button on there, it would have brought me here too. And I can choose free to download it. I can bring it back, save it to their B2 additional storage, or to a flash drive where they'll send me a flash drive, 256 gigs, or up to 8 terabytes, they'll send me a hard drive for $189. Otherwise, I can come back here. I can search for a specific date range, or I can just expand and you'll see, hey, here's all those files. Here's where everything's at. If I were to refresh this because it hasn't built that image part yet, if I were to say, hey, let's refresh, then this will catch up and we should see that copy jump in there once it catches up. But what's really nice is you can see the versions of a file too. So you can restore multiple versions of a file. So let's say you backed up on Monday and it made changes to that file on Wednesday, and then on Friday you realized that you needed Mondays. Well, while it did overwrite it, it kept a version or a copy of it and said, hey, when you want to restore, you can choose which day to bring that back from. Of course, the copy one hasn't been up there yet. It does seem to take a little bit for the web page to catch up and cache all that, which when you think about the terabytes and terabytes, petabytes of data that they're backing up, that makes sense. It would take just a little bit. And why would I have to restore something that I just backed up? But if I wanted to, I could go into here and click one of these files. I can click in here and I can say, restore this, and I can say go. If I wanted to, I could click into the file and download it, or I can even share it with someone. So I could share these folders. I could share a part if I needed to, almost like it's a file download. That's a quick file sharing capability. Otherwise, if I would hit download, I don't have any versions where I've changed this. Otherwise, when I clicked it, I would have saw versions, which has come in handy for me before. And what's nice is it keeps versions multiple days back for a long period of time. But if I wanted to, for just a little bit more, for about 20 bucks more a year, I can have it keep a year's worth of stuff if a drive goes offline. Right now, if an external drive goes offline, I get about 30 days. And it starts warning. It actually goes 60. It goes well beyond that. In fact, I've seen it go longer right now. But if I want a year peace of mind, it can do that and keep that hard drive out there even when the drive's gone for a year for about 20 bucks. But having said that, that's what you can do. You can click on any one of them, bring up a number of files here. Like I said, if I click here at the archive level, it'll come up and show me that. Like I said, that's where you can share an individual file out to someone just by clicking it, and it'll bring it through. You can see your restores, which I don't have any restore going right now. You can see if you shared files. You can locate your computer if you turn that on. And you can see all your billing and all that set up. I find that to be pretty useful, and you can see your usage fees if you're using that B2 product. I don't. So, like I said, that's where when you click the restore options, that pretty much just brings up the web page and says, hey, sign in to do a web restore. It just talks about it. Same thing I told you. Again, if I click the backup now, it would start checking again and doing a whole search. But that's where you can upgrade past that 30-day version history. So that's Backblaze. Now, for me, like I said, you can back up unlimited hard drives, unlimited external hard drives, unlimited internal hard drives. You can tell it to keep backing up all of them. If you want a little trick, you could have your other machines. It's only about 60 bucks a year. And having said that, there's a little, if you want a free month, go ahead and use that link below. I put it in the description, but use that link down below. It'll get you a free month of Backblaze so you can try it out. But you can tell your other machines, if you don't want to pay 60 bucks for each machine, look at the video on ChronoSync and or you can use another sync software if you're using a PC. Why not back up all of those to one external hard drive and have one machine upload it. You can always take a disk image and back up that disk image. Remember I said I had that Mac Images one. That will be backing up my disk image to the cloud. So I can always bring it back and restore that machine. So you can kind of back up multiple computers, but only pay for one. Yes, I'm cheap. If you have a whole bunch, why not have the peace of mind? If you have 2 core machines, you could just pay that amount. But for me, I have kids. Each kid, I have them backup files. I have a set of hard drives. Why not have them sync their files in that are core from their profile? That way, if they do something wrong, I can bring back the version. And then I back that up with Backblaze and only pay for one. You know, that's probably not the best thing to say, but that's how I do it because I'm a little bit cheap and like to find little workarounds. I like getting that extra deal. So I will tell you later this week, maybe even tomorrow or early next week, I'll be showing you how to bring all of the stuff we did together with SuperDuper, ChronoSync, and Backblaze. We'll go into more detail on that, but that's your quick tip on what you can do with Backblaze and use that to securely back up your life and have that peace of mind that if something happened at your house, if your hard drives failed, you have that data backed up without having to pay for an expensive RAID array. And we can talk about RAID on another one, maybe in one of our megabytes or on one of our geek outs. So if you enjoyed that, which I'm pretty sure if you're still here you did, then why not come over here and subscribe to us on YouTube? Use the link down below. If you're on a computer, hover over that QR code and it'll say, do you want to open up that page? Say yes. Once you're there, click subscribe and then click the bell so you can get notified, and then you'll know when we're going to do this. We'll have another Glitch Byte tomorrow, and we'll have a geek out most likely here soon and a happy hour. And that's always good fun, and you know you want to join that. Otherwise, also come follow us on Facebook. You'll see most of the same stuff there, but definitely come subscribe on YouTube. Hope you guys had a great time. I had a great time. If you want more tips, let us know. Let us know what interests you. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow.